going on, guys? Welcome back to Nacho Wrestling. WWE is the biggest promotion in the game today, and we all know that. And with that comes a lot of fans of all different types, from casual viewers to diehard viewers that watch every single hour of television that is put out there, and to everything in between. What also comes with being the biggest game in town is money, and WWE sure has a lot of that as well. But despite the huge fan base, and despite the gobs of money that the company makes, they are still seeking more and more of both. And it is because of this seeking of more money and more fans and more attention and more eyes on the product that I think WWE is alienating their true fans, the fans of professional wrestling. To put it simply, my theory is that WWE loves to hate their fans. While on one hand they love their fans for the money they give to the company and everything like that, they don't really love when the fans talk about, oh, well, I would like to see this, I would like to see that. At the end of the day, we're the fans that are paying our money to go see these shows. Wouldn't it make sense that we want to see what we want to see because we're giving our money to the company? And we're going to try and talk about all of that in today's video, but before we get into the first chapter, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to stay up to date on all things Nacho Wrestling, and if this is your first time watching a Nacho Wrestling video, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button and sharing this video with your friends. Starting off, I want to take a look at the concept that WWE hates their entire fan base. Now, while this may partially be true, it's not entirely true, as WWE needs to show love to their fans in some way, shape, or form to keep them coming back. And if we're being honest, I think they would show that they hated their fans a lot more with a lot more different creative decisions than what they do today. I mean, sure, they can not put the world title on one of the most over guys in the company, but, you know, they could do other stuff that makes us feel hated. What, or more importantly, who WWE hates is not all wrestling fans, but it's fans of professional wrestling. I know that may sound like an oxymoron, but wrestling fans and professional wrestling fans are a little different. This is because at the end of the day, WWE does not see itself as a professional wrestling company anymore. They are a global sports entertainment mogul empire, or whatever Nick Khan and Triple H would call it now. And this is by no means to say that WWE doesn't care about the wrestling anymore, because every now and again there will be a wrestler that rises through the ranks that's really good at the stuff in the ring and doesn't put as much of a focus on the character stuff, and WWE has no point but to use them because they're entertaining as hell in the ring. Look at Ilya Dragunov, for example. WWE also gets annoyed with these smart mark fans, which I would confidently classify myself as a smart mark fan, someone that knows the ins and outs of the business, or at least claims to know the ins and outs of the business, but they also take the time to learn about how the business works on more than just a wrestling level, more than just what we watch on TV. WWE hates the smarks for one major reason, and I cannot stress this enough. They hate most of them, not all of them. There definitely are some smart marks that are a little more tempered with how they talk about wrestling, how they talk about everything that goes on in the business, but for a majority of them, they think that they know better than the producers and the wrestlers involved in the creation of the product, and that really, I think, puts a sour taste in WWE's mouth as well. It's part of the reason why I think they've created the Unreal show, to show these smart mark fans just how much goes into putting on a WWE show, to show these fans that, hey, you think you can do this? Well, look at everything we're doing. I don't think you can do this, pal. I by no means am gonna sit here and say that I could do what a WWE producer does or do what a WWE wrestler does. I mean, look at me. Producing a match, whether it's in WWE or whether it's in an indie promotion or anything like that, is an absolute daunting task to take on. You have to corral 2 or more wrestlers together, and if it's a tag team match, you have to corral 4 wrestlers together and have them put a cohesive story together, and you have these prima donnas who are going to try and say, oh, but I need to get my spot in. Oh, I need to get my spot in, and everything like that. And if the match falls short, more often than not, it comes back on the producer. Again, this leads me to why I think they created the Unreal show, to really show how difficult it is to put together these shows. This point also leads me into my next chapter of looking at why WWE is not catering to a specific audience anymore. If WWE no longer caters to wrestling fans, then who exactly are they catering to? One could make the argument that they're catering to MMA/UFC fans, with how much integration they've had between the UFC since their merger under TKO. On the other hand, you could make the suggestion that WWE is trying to do a market sweep and try and get everybody from all corners of pop culture, all corners of media, to come watch their program. I personally lean towards the latter rather than the first option, as I think MMA fans are always going to hate professional wrestling and its scripted nature, and wrestling fans are always gonna not be too fond of MMA based off its legitimacy and based off the fact that, like, we're watching these guys get mashed potato brains constantly, and then if we're not watching them get mashed potato brains, we're more often than not watching two guys just crawl around on a floor try to get an ankle pick off each other. Personally, and don't get this twisted at all, I like both, and I think you can like both. I think it's easily possible to be a fan of MMA and a fan of wrestling, and you can like both and criticize both at the same time as well. But back to who WWE is for anyway. I think I hit the nail on the head earlier when I said WWE is trying to be for everybody. They're trying to be for the guys that used to watch wrestling back in the day, the guys that still watch wrestling now. I think another great point to show why they're trying to get everybody to have their eyes on their product is because they somewhat recently, acquired AAA last year during WrestleMania 41, and they've used this acquisition of AAA to try and present themselves as the mecca of wrestling. You can see Lucha Libre wrestling under the WWE umbrella. You could see the regular Western style of professional wrestling that WWE has to offer, and you can see whatever the fuck NXT's doing. The key word there is they tried to appeal to all audiences. I think WWE has fallen short in some areas when it comes to appealing to the wider audiences, and we're going to talk about why that is. When I think about this chapter, the only thing I could think about was the GIF or GIF from the SpongeBob movie where Perch Perkins asked Mr. Krabs what motivated him to build the Krusty Krab 2. The answer? Money. And just like Eugene Krabs, Triple H and the WWE is obsessed with money. They're obsessed with the thing that makes the world go around, the color that everyone loves, green. Whether it be the money they make from merchandise or ticket sales or streaming deals or Saudi government deals or anything like that, they love money. This is where we really get into the idea that there is a love and hate relationship between WWE and their fan base. Because WWE, like I said, has to at least care a little bit about the fans in order for the fans to continue to want to come back and be a part of these sometimes lackluster moments. And even though they're the highest ticket sales or highest gate revenues, whatever you want to say, they feel like they were a part of something important when Triple H goes out and says that on the post shows. More on those in a minute. And WWE is going to award those fans that spend $2,000 to $3,000, sometimes even more, on front row seats for pay-per-views and premium live events and even weekly TV, and the fans that spend money on the most expensive version of 2K every year, even though the past couple of years it's just the same game with features from 10 years ago that were able to be done, and now it's like, no, we just unveiled this new feature in the game. What are you talking about? Gaming rant aside, I think that WWE loves the fans for their money, so much so that when they see these fans that are willing to plunker down so much for their company, that all they see them as is dollar signs. Don't get it twisted though, WWE is not the only company that does this. If we're being honest, every single entertainment company looks at fans that spend gobs of cash on their events, on their pay-per-views, on whatever they have, merchandise, you name it. They just see us as dollar signs. This is a widespread issue with all of public consumerism, which that's a whole nother topic for another day, and I don't think I should be the guy to cover it. You may be sitting here and asking yourself, Nacho, if everyone does it, if every company is guilty of it, then why is WWE the sole subject of the video? And to that I say, who said you could ask questions? Secondly, good question. But in all seriousness, WWE makes such a point to reference how much money they make off of us that it became a meme among the wrestling community. I'm not gonna lie, obviously an important aspect of professional wrestling is the money, is the merchandise sales, is the pay-per-view buys, or the streaming buys for the PLEs or anything like that. After all, it is what keeps the company going and it keeps the spirits high for everyone that works for the company. How do you think WWE wrestlers and WWE producers and everyone that falls underneath those umbrellas feel right now, knowing that WrestleMania ticket sales aren't as good as they have been in the past 2 years, and now they have to lower the ticket sale prices? Or how do you think AEW wrestlers felt during the Sydney tour for Grand Slam when they barely sold enough tickets to have it in the venue they had it at, or the house show that they did in Brisbane where they had to tarp off the top layer and move everybody down and give some tickets away for free? It definitely lowers the value and lowers the credibility of companies for sure, but also at the same time, it boosts it. It's sort of a tale of two coins, or tale of two halves, if you will. But the real reason WWE is the main focus of this one is because they have a platform to let their fans spout out what they want to hear, and it's during these post shows when all the fans are crowded around the post show conference table and they're chanting for what they want to see or chanting for their disdain of what they just saw. And what does Triple H do? He pretends to hear what he wants to hear. Like that one time where they were chanting something or other, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you want to see Brock Lesnar? You'll see Brock Lesnar. Don't worry about that, pal." Like, no, dude. You can't actively ignore them when they just gave you all the money in the world to watch a pay-per-view or a premium live event, whatever you want to call it. I think this is why WWE had to get rid of the post-show press conferences that they were doing for so long, because Triple H would go out there and the only two things that he could say were, "It's what we do," or, "This is the highest grossing sale and ticket revenue gate for WWE in its history." He never answered an actual question. He always just took it to patronize himself, which that's a whole other issue that we're going to talk about here now, is Triple H. The short answer here to this chapter is yes. The long answer? Also yes. Triple H has taken this role to its absolute limit, so much so that I almost titled this video The Triple H Problem, a sequel to my original Tony Khan Problem video way back when. In my headcanon, Triple H truly believes that people are paying for these shows in the Vinceless era of WWE for him. To come see him come out and do his entrance and do the "Welcome to SummerSlam." Nobody wants that. You're not an active competitor anymore. And even when you were an active competitor, Paul, let me tell you something. You were like the fourth most over guy in the Attitude Era. And if you don't believe me, and I knew I don't grow up in that era, so old heads are probably going to try and fight me on that in the comments, but I can tell you that I've watched enough Attitude Era to know that he was not the top guy. The top guy list clearly went Stone Cold, Rock, Undertaker, hell, I'd put Mick Foley up there, and then Triple H. Triple H was like the fifth or fourth most over guy, depending on who you ask. Not everything Triple H did in his career was complete buns. The Evolution stuff was cool, and everything he did with the Authority, kind of looks back on like shit. He treated Sting like shit at WrestleMania 31. He's had some stinkers here and there. The Reign of Terror stuff wasn't great. But all in all, Triple H overall was a good guy in the ring. He told good stories. He told good feuds. He had good matches. Everything like that. And the one crowning achievement that I think Triple H can lay his hat on is that he got one of the best reactions in Madison Square Garden ever back when he returned in 2002. Also, more to this rant about Triple H is why the fuck are you on one of the covers of 2K26? I genuinely think you saw that CM Punk was going to be the cover this year. You got jealous and said, well, what if we made a King of Kings version? And then the Monday Night War edition also has to feature me on the cover. Like, no, it does not. You don't need two versions with you on the cover. One is fine. 2 is excessive. I'm surprised he didn't feature on the CM Punk one in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, I don't want to completely hate on Triple H at all. I do find some joy and some entertainment value in Triple H as a wrestler. But as this creative role, as this head of creative, head of talent relations, and whatever else he's in charge of, it just seems like he's kind of trying to find a dichotomy that he still hasn't found yet. My last little tirade I want to talk about is to wrestling fans in general. If you are a wrestling fan and you come and talk about how, oh, well, they had the biggest gate ever. They sold the most tickets ever at this venue. You're weird. You don't work for the company. I don't see you getting a check from AEW or WWE or TNA. Like, I find that, like, tribalism shit to be just so weird, so outdated. Nobody cares anymore. This isn't the 90s. Like, you don't have to choose WCW or WWE. You can choose both. You can choose one and not like the other. You don't have to be a fucking dick about it. It's like Brian Zane says all the time. Like what you like, don't be a dick. The other biggest thing I think wrestling fans need to remember is that competition fuels the boom of the business. I mean, look at 2019, 2020, right before pandemic. AEW was rocking, WWE was rocking, everyone was doing great for themselves because competition is what drove both of them to do better. AEW got a little complacent post-pandemic, WWE has gotten a little complacent recently, and that's because there isn't that sense of competition like there once was. So you can like both companies, you can hate both companies, you could do whatever the hell you want. Just remember that as long as you're supporting the company you want to support, you're fine. No one's gonna burst your bubble. You're cool, dude. Just tranquilo. Wow. I got really negative today. I await the comments that tell me how much this video sucks, but if you can't do it civilly, your comment will last about as long as Gable Stevenson's WWE career did. So, you know, tread lightly. With that being said, let me know what you guys thought about the video down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about WWE's relationship to its fan base down in the comments below. Like I said, I welcome the criticism, but please keep it civil as best you can. And with that being said, as always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to stay up to date on all things Nacho Wrestling, and I will see you guys next time.